What's going on, everybody? Let's start off this video with a nice happy new year. I hope you guys had a great night last night. I hope you stayed safe. I hope you stayed smart. And I hope you're not feeling too rough this morning if you're a bit of a partier. That being said, I hope you had a great 2022, and I hope you're looking forward to an even better 2023. It's a new year. We got new things to do and new plans to be made, so let's just make it the best, shall we? So I figured I'd start off this new year with a different kind of video than I usually do. Well, not really different, I guess, but I want to try and stay within a certain wheelhouse on my channel. Now I watch some of the bigger channels, and a lot of them are going to more of a Linux content, but it's more opinion pieces. A lot of the bigger channels are covering less software and stuff and just talking more about their opinions on things, and which is fine. It's their channel. They can run it how they want. I'm not knocking them. But I want to keep this channel focused on actually what goes on your system, configuring stuff, setting stuff up, installing programs, writing scripts. I want to stick to the nitty-gritty on this channel. I'm not saying I'm not going to have an opinion piece here and there, or talk about something here or there, but I want to keep this as instructional as possible and not just a way for me to try and spout my opinion all over the place. Not that there's anything bad with that. I don't want to be that channel. That's just not my goal with this. So I'm going to start off this new year, and we're going to go over my system completely. Not in depth, not digging through each and every configuration file and everything, but I'm just going to go over the main stuff, what I use, and maybe a brief explanation as to why I use it. So if you are a returning viewer or a subscriber and you already know all this stuff, you might want to watch anyway, just to kind of get a refresher on what it is I'm using and what it is I'm doing. If you're a new viewer, this might give you an idea of whether my channel is going to actually be focused on the stuff you want to watch. Hopefully it is. My goal was never to actually grow this channel when I started it, but things happened and it started growing. It's not big by any means, but it started growing, and now I'd like to keep it that way. So hopefully you see stuff on here you like. So let's go ahead and just jump into it. We're going to start with the basics, the meat and potatoes basically of my system. And what I'm running is I'm running an HP laptop. So if we run neofetch, if I could type today, boy, I'm really bad today. Let's zoom in a little bit. You can see I'm running an HP X360 convertible laptop. Now, HP is what I run. My other laptops are HP. My home system is an HP. I've really had great success with HP. I know there's a lot of people out there that don't like it, but for me, HP has been splendid. Everything that I need my computer for, it just works. Aside from my fingerprint reader to unlock the computer, but I don't need that. So everything else just seems to work. HP has been super great for me. This is not a plug. I'm not sponsored by HP or anything like that, but I highly recommend HP. My printers are HP. I just really have not had any problems. You might hear contrary. Everybody has their own opinions on stuff, but for me, HP has just been wonderful. So I'm running an HP laptop. I am running, as you see right here, I'm running Void Linux on my system. Void Linux, I've been on it for about 5 or 6 months, and I can't see myself going back to Arch-related distros or Debian-related or anything that I was on before anytime soon. I'm not going to say never, but I am thoroughly pleased with Void, its stability. It's really fast and just lightweight, and it's done everything I need it to do exceedingly well. So I will be sticking with Void for the foreseeable future, and I use the Run It and Knit system on Void, which is just spectacular. Now again, I've said before, I don't have any beef with System D. I don't hate System D. I'm not a System D hater or any of that, but if I had to choose between Run It and System D, I would choose Run It every time now. Just the way things work on it and the way it's set up is just so much nicer. So I am running an AMD Ryzen 3500U with Radeon Mobile GFX. I prefer AMD over Intel. Excuse me. I prefer AMD over Intel. That's just a personal preference. Intel is spectacular as well. There's a reason they're a leader in the market. So nothing against Intel. I just prefer AMD. You can see right here, I'm running a Windows icon pack, which is just preference. I like the looks of the Windows icons, and I've gotten a little flack for that before, so I'm probably going to end up changing it. I've debated actually making my own icon pack, but I tend to bite off more than I can chew at times, and I think that might be the case. I already bit off trying to build a window manager, and I'm struggling with that big time, so we'll just have to see. As you can see right here, the window manager I'm running is Herbstluft. It is a great window manager. If you haven't caught any of my videos on it, I definitely recommend you check it out. It is spectacularly fast, it is lightweight, it is super customizable, and it does everything and anything I could possibly need it to do. I run Bash as opposed to running ZSH or Fish. I know a lot of guys are switching over to ZSH or Fish and running those just due to the fact that you can do so much with them, and there's plugins left and right for those things, and there's just a million things you can do. I prefer to actually keep things a little more minimal, whereas if I want something in Bash, I just go ahead and edit my Bash RC, I write a function, I edit my input RC file, whatever I need to do, that I can get almost anything that can be done in ZSH in Bash and just write it myself. I prefer to do that as opposed to install other people's stuff. So my terminal I'm using is Alacrity. I was using Kitty for a long time, but I started having some issues with it, and I wanted to actually go back to Alacrity to just kind of compare the two, because I went from Alacrity to Kitty and then back to Alacrity. So I just kind of wanted to compare a little bit. So I am happy with Alacrity. I was happy using Kitty as well, but I did go back to Alacrity. So those are my main things. So again, my operating system is Avoid Linux, my init system is Run It, my window manager is Herbstluft, my shell is Bash, my system is an HP Envy X3600 convertible, and I have a couple Windows icons and stuff on the system. So that's kind of the basic stuff. As far as not window managers, but file managers go, most of the time, if I need to do anything in my file system, I use Ranger, which if I launch this, let's go ahead and zoom in again, and we're going to do Ranger. This is my Ranger setup. It's pretty basic. It's a super light and super easy to use terminal file manager. Most of the stuff I do, and you'll see, is done in the terminal anyway. So it's just super easy for me to do. Now, if I need to use a GUI file manager for anything, then my go-to is Nemo. I really like the Nemo file manager. I was introduced to it, obviously, when I started using Linux Mint, my first distro that I ever used, and I just really like it. I like the way it works. I like the way that it functions and the abilities that it has. It's super easy, and it was, to be honest with you, it was really comparable to Windows Explorer in Windows. And obviously I came from Windows over to Linux, so I was trying to make my transition as easy as possible, and Nemo did a great job of that. It's really intuitive when it comes to people coming from Windows to a Linux-based system. Nemo is a great file manager to take care of that gap for you. So that's my current GUI file manager I use. For recording my videos, I use Simple Screen Recorder. If I go to 9 here, you can see I'm running Simple Screen Recorder right now. It's really simple because my face isn't on camera hardly ever. You might see it every once in a while, but for the most part it's just recording my screen, trying to show you guys what I'm doing. So Simple Screen Recorder works great. I just got my son just got a new microphone that I borrowed from him. It's a Tonor, T-O-N-O-R. I'm hoping it sounds a little better than my onboard mic. I'm really trying to work with my audio because I know my videos aren't super high quality, and again, I'm a very small channel, so I'm sure it doesn't offend many people, but I'd like to have nice sounding audio, and eventually I'd like to have a setup to where I can put my face on camera as well, but that's just going to be something that might happen in the future. So again, my microphone is a Tonor. As for right now, when I'm actually shooting in my truck or whatever, then I'm just using the onboard mic on my laptop. So that's what I have there. As far as my menu system for launching stuff, I used to use dmenu, which if we launch a terminal here and I run dmenu_run, You can see I still have dmenu set up on my system. Dmenu is a great tool. I don't dislike it. I didn't stop using it because I disliked it, but again, I like to kind of make things and play around with stuff, so I actually decided to check out FZF and see what I could do with FZF. And if we launch my menu now, you can see I use FZF, and I actually just have a few things piped into it. So a couple of my directories piped into it to actually show me my executable files and my programs that are on my system. So as opposed to using dmenu or Rofi, which both I have installed, I use my own script written using FZF, and I launch my programs that way. Now the same goes with my logout menu. If I hit Mod Shift C, you can see I have a logout menu that's run through FZF. If I hit Mod Shift I, you can see I have my void source packages. This is kind of like the AUR for void. So I have my void source packages list here, so I can install things from the void source packages just by popping up this menu. I also have, if I hit Mod Shift E, I have a configs menu that I'm still working on because I have a lot more configs to add to it, but I can just launch one of my configs or open one of my configs in Vim right here from this menu, and just makes life nice and easy. So as far as my bar goes, my bar up here is Polybar. I use Polybar with the Polybar Powerline. It's not a plugin, I guess, but it's just another program a gentleman made that I really liked. So I use that, Polybar and Polybar Powerline, or Powerline for Polybar. I can't remember which one it is, but so you can see I've got it all set up here. As far as my text editor, as you probably guessed, I use Vim. So you can see if I open Vim here, and I've got my nerd tree over here on the right. My status bar is self-written, so I don't use Powerline or anything like that. So I have my own configuration file for Vim, and that's what I use. I am actually working on one of my challenges that I put out a while ago on my polls, was to live in Emacs. So if we launch that, you can see I have Doom Emacs installed in my system as well, which I have been playing around in, and I'm going to give that another shot for my challenges videos that I do well, I've done one so far, but I plan on doing every once in a while. The last challenge video was on the ED text editor, and that one was pretty good. I like that. So, but this one's on Emacs, so you can see I've got Doom Emacs installed on my system. I haven't got it completely set up yet as a client and server mode and all that, so I'm still working on getting that all set up, but I do have it on the system. But Vim is where I live. So that's kind of the main stuff. Oh, as far as browsers go, right now my two main browsers I use are Firefox. So if I hit Mod Shift A, you can see that it takes a second, but I launched my Firefox setup with my custom user Chrome that makes it look a little nicer in my opinion. Kind of matches my color scheme and everything. So I have my Firefox setup, and then I also use Brave. If I hit Mod Shift B, you can see I launch Brave. Brave browser is great. It's a good replacement for something like Chrome or whatever, and I'm thoroughly happy with Brave. I do like to use Qt browser, so if we close that and I hit Mod Q, might take a second here, but you can see Qt browser will launch. So I have Qt browser that I like to mess around with, but the one I'm messing around with right now, and that I'm trying, is if I hit Mod Shift N and we launch this, this is actually the Nixt browser. You can see right up in the corner here, this is Nixt. The problem with this is it's written in Lisp, and I am not very familiar with Lisp, so I'm kind of configuring it and learning a little bit of Lisp as I go to try and get this thing looking how I want. It's an interesting web browser, though. It's a little bit different than anything else I've used, but it's really kind of cool. So if we just hit I think Control L, we can go to like my website, and it works like any other browser, but it's just got different key bindings and stuff that you're going to need to use. And it's got the little bar down here, so you have a back button if you want to go back, but there's also you can see down it goes through buffers as opposed to it's just weird. I'm still learning it and figuring it out, but I just thought it was kind of neat and kind of a neat program. So I am playing around with that. This isn't one I use very often, but I'm just kind of messing around with it. So That's kind of that. I don't think there's anything else that I use too much on my system. Let's just kind of take a quick look at some of my main configs though. So if we launch a terminal, we zoom in, let's go ahead and CD, not VD, oof, CD into Vim, which if we look, it's in home jake.config Vim. So I moved my vimrc over here. So if I do an LA-1, you can see I've got my vim info, my vimrc, and my status.vim. So if I vim into .vimrc, you can see this is my vimrc file here. This is all stuff that I've added, custom stuff, my remaps. Down here I have a status line that I'm writing at the moment. I've been writing it for a while. This is the one I was using for a little bit, but I decided to move and start writing a different one, which is why I just commented all this out and I'm sourcing my other one from the status file. So let's go ahead and quit out of here and let's vim into status.vim, and you can see this is the file for my status line down here at the bottom. It's pretty basic. It just, you can see it's kind of gray in the corners right now, but if I go into insert mode, it changes to this nice cyan color. If I change something, let's go up here and let's put it insert, let's put I and then go back, and then we escape. You can see it's now turned red, saying, okay, guess what, you actually changed something. It also shows right here with the plus that I have modified the file, and so that way I know I need to write, and now we are back to cyan again, so I know that the file is all good to go. I have no changes, so if I just close it out, we're not going to have any issues. So that's my status line right there. I'm actually going to do a video here in the next probably couple days, or the next week or so, on actually writing the status bar again. I did one a while back. I think I'm going to do it again because I think I might want to reconfigure my status bar. We'll just have to see though. So that's my Vim and my Vim status bar configs. If we go into Alacrity, excuse me, and I do an LA-1, you can see I've got my alacrity.yml, my color.yml, and my font.yml. So if we vim into alacrity.yml, you can see right here I just port the fonts and the colors from those other files into this. If you'll notice, I kind of try and split up my configuration files as much as possible. I try to have my main configuration file, and then for all the separate individual stuff that I can put on its own, I try to have it in its own file, just so that way if I want to modify that section of it, I can just go into that file real quick. I know how to find it, I know where it's at, it's right there. I don't have to search through all the other stuff in the configuration file, and I can edit what I want to and be done. So we just got the basic stuff in the alacrity.yml. You can see I've got my terminals, 256 color, window decorations, none. I've got my padding, title alacrity, class and instance right there. We've got history, and then we've got some key bindings. If we go ahead and quit out of there and we vim into my color, you can see this is just the colors. So if I want to change my color palette or whatever, I can just come in here and change my color palette and be good to go. So let's go over here and let's go to the font. So now in here you can see I've got all different kinds of fonts, so I can change between different fonts that I found that I like, and just all I got to do is comment and uncomment lines here and we're good to go, and it changes the font immediately on Alacrity. So that's kind of cool. So let's go ahead and quit out of here. Let's cd into Herbst Luft. Now let's clear the screen and let's do an LA-1. You can see I've got all kinds of stuff going on here. I've got Git, obviously, because this is in my Git repository. This is my auto start. I have Herbst for my repository README. And I've got my themes. I've gone over all this in my couple of previous videos, so I'm not going to go into this too big. But again, just the same thing in my auto start. It's just some basic. It's just the basic stuff in the auto start file, and then you can see I source my key bindings, I source my theme, I source my rules, and then the panel and everything. So in my auto start file is literally just the stuff that I auto start basically, and then sourcing everything else. So let's go ahead and quit. So you can see I've got the keys right here, and I've got layouts, and I've got panel, I've got polybar right here with my polybar themes, the readme for my Git, my update icons right here. I used YAD to actually just create an icon in my sys tray for my system updates. If you hover over it, it will show you I've got 5 updates. If you right click on it, it actually shows you what those updates are, and then if I left click on it, which I won't do right now, but if I left click on it, it will actually start the update and update my system for me. So that's that updicon.sh. The wallpaper right here is just called in the theme, so it can change wallpapers. Then we got WinRules, and I also have xmobar and xmobar tags, because you can use xmobar with Herb's Luft. It doesn't look real pretty. I'm still working on it, but you can do it. So that's kind of the main configuration files. Let's go ahead and cd. Actually, let's go home and cd into scripts. Let's clear the screen and do an LA-1, and you can see if we look right here, launch.sh. So if I vim into launch.sh, you can see it's just a real basic script for my launch menu, which is the menu right here. Basically, it just pipes these directories into my FCF instance, and then gives me a prompt and stuff like that. So it's just a real basic script. If you want to find any of these scripts, they are going to be on my GitHub and my Gitlab, which I guess we can go take a look over there too. So if we launch another web browser here, and we go up to GitHub, you can see I do have a GitHub page, and if we launch over here into another tab, we can launch my GitLab. So I am on GitHub and on GitLab. So all the same repos are going to be on both. I debated at one point getting rid of one, whether it be GitHub or GitLab, but I couldn't decide, so I just decided, well, we'll just go ahead and keep them both. So they are both there. I don't have a whole lot of followers, but they're there if you want them. You don't have to follow me. You can go and take whatever you want, but and use it as your own. Anything that's labeled with void is going to be the most current. So you can see I've got like a Herb's Luft right here. This is an older one than this one here. I still got some cleaning up to do, but and any of those scripts that I just went through in my scripts directory right here, they're all going to be found right here in my scripts repo. So if you click on that, you can kind of scroll through, and you can see I've got all my scripts there in my scripts repo. I need to go through and do some readmes on a lot of my repos, but everything is kind of moving along, and we will get that done as we need. So that's kind of it. That's all the stuff I use, and that's kind of what I set up on my system. Just kind of a real blanket, basic coverage of everything, but that's kind of what I do. So again, I appreciate you watching, and I hope if you're new to the channel or you haven't watched before, this kind of gives you an idea of who I am, or what I use anyway. Who I am is a 25-year veteran of the automotive industry. I've been a technician for that long. I work for Toyota. I'm a master diagnostic technician for Toyota, but I am working on trying to get out of there and move over to more of a maybe software engineering, software development, or IT type position, something that still gives me the ability to work with my hands and troubleshoot and tinker with things, but doesn't beat me up as much as being a technician does. So again, I want to keep this channel, I want to keep it growing. Again, that wasn't the end game at the beginning, but you know, just seeing some of the comments from people that appreciate what I do and have thanked me, I just want to keep this growing for people that are interested. And also, you know, you see that growing and you get a little excited. This is something you've created and you're working on and you're doing, and you watch it grow. And even if it wasn't the goal at the beginning, it is now a goal of mine to get this channel growing and to get it out to as many people as possible. But again, like I said, I want to keep this channel light on the opinions, as far as opinion pieces and just me jabber-jawing away. I know this video was kind of that, but I was just kind of going over everything that I use. And I want to keep this more focused on the nitty-gritty. I want to focus on scripting and programming. I've got a few C++ videos coming out on some programs I've written and some games I've written, very basic games. Don't get all excited when you hear me say I wrote some games in C++, because it's very basic, and not even any graphics. So, but I want to keep this focused on actually using your system, how to build your system, how to configure your system, how to get it up and running, how to just make it yours, what programs to install and how to use them, how to script, how to use Bash. I just want to keep this focused on really like I said, the nitty-gritty. I'll let the other guys who have 1 million followers and have all these guys that want to sit and listen, I'll let them handle the opinions and everything, and you can come on over here and we'll do some good work on our system. And so that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I hope you enjoy this video, and I hope you guys enjoy your new year. Just remember, we might think this is a new year, so we have, New Year's resolutions. We got a new year, a fresh start, and everything. But man, I just want to remind you that the Bible tells us that God's mercies are new every morning. It doesn't have to be a new year. It can just be a new day, a new minute, a new second. God's mercies are new. Love you guys all. God bless. Have a great year.